Hello there. This week we move into the second half of our writing course. In this Stage 7 and the next stage, Stage 8, we will be covering the conclusion. After we have looked at the conclusion, we will get into a couple of finer points of writing, such as how to get to the point quicker, how to cite other people's works, and using figures and tables in a composition. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's look at the conclusion, a vital part of the composition that is often forgotten by many writers. Let's do it. Oh, I should have mentioned that I'm really sorry for my voice today. I've caught a bit of a cold, and so I'm not my usual self. We are going to keep with the same structure as always. As they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Let's move on. On this slide, we can basically see what we have covered so far in this course. You don't need me to explain each one, but I would like you to think about each of the points. Pause the video for a minute and quickly reflect on the key structures that we have covered through these videos. Just take 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll get back into this video. How did you go? Did you actually pause the video? I hope so. It is said that there are different stages of learning, and if you can understand something to a degree that you are able to teach someone, you have a pretty good hold of that topic. So I hope you used a little time to reteach yourself about those points. This week, we are concentrating on the conclusion. As I said earlier, a lot of people tend to drop the conclusion from their compositions. But this part is really important. There are a couple of different approaches to the conclusion, but here I'd just like to focus on 2. First, we can choose to summarize the main points of our composition. The advantage of using this way is that understanding your composition becomes really easy for the reader. The second way is to refer to the future, or an event after what has been focused upon in the body of the conclusion. This probably sounds a little confusing right now, but don't worry. This kind of conclusion will be the focus of next week's video. Today, we are going to look at summarizing the main points. In the last video, I talked about telling stories and giving examples and reasons in the body of the composition. If you read right to the end of that composition, you would have seen a pretty good example of a conclusion. If you didn't read to the end, here is that conclusion. First, it gives a good summary of the main point of the composition in the first sentence. Next, we see a simple explanation of what was discussed in the second paragraph, that is, the first part of the body. The second point made in the body of the composition comes next, and again, it is summarized in a really simple way. Then, and I'm sure you can see the pattern now, the final point made in the body, which came in the third paragraph of the body in this composition, is retold in a simple way. It is kind of like paraphrasing the topic sentences of each paragraph in the body. To complete the conclusion, the writer gives some advice, which is another way of creating a final connection with the reader. As we have mentioned earlier in this course, creating a good relationship with your reader is one of the keys to becoming a good writer. This week, we have another composition in which the writer is expressing his or her opinion. This time, the topic is about the price of shopping bags. It's a kind of interesting perspective, so I hope you'll spend some time to read through it. When you do, take a little extra time to analyze the conclusion and notice how each main point in the body has been summarized, like I did in the previous slide. Well, Now it's your turn to write. Of course, this week I want you to spend a little extra effort on the conclusion. Think how you can summarize the main points you have made in your composition in as simple a way as possible. The people reading your composition should be able to look at the introduction and get a general idea of what has been happening so far and what you are going to talk about in the composition. Then, by skimming the conclusion, they should be able to understand the main points you have made in the composition. If they want to know more, they can go to the body and check the topic sentences. If they are still interested, that's when they start to look at the content of the body, that is, the examples, stories, and reasons you are expressing. Creating a composition that does this is your challenge for this week. The topic is how you feel about smoking areas at restaurants and public places. Alright, that's enough of that. Our class will keep on with the usual idea. As I said, if it's not broken, take note that we'll be looking at a new set of vocabulary for our test. So check those words out. Do a little bit of research about Leonardo da Vinci so you'll be ready for the dictogloss. And finally, make sure your composition is ready to show your classmates so you can get some good feedback to help you with your writing. See you then.